Are we live? All right, so I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm sorry that we are late, but hi, it's Tobi and Helen from say it with me, Helen, the Boob Tube.
The Boob Tube. This is episode 3, and you can see why we're having technical difficulties, right? Because my voice isn't matching my face.
That's a great matching. That's a great relationship that you're doing there. My voice matching my face. I can talk like that too. Well, we have 5.
So Tobi and I, we did a lot of work to prepare for this. So I'm going to stay quiet for some of it and have just a few comments because I think my delay is worse than Tobi's. And we worked hard on this. This is really great information, and we want really everybody to get this and get the information. But since I'm so delayed and distracting, Tobi's going to do the bulk of the talking today.
Hey, Christy. Oh my gosh. Sorry that we're a little bit late. This is Tobi and Helen with the Boob Tube. And as you can see, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, which is why we started off. Oh, good. You can hear and see me. I think I'm the one who's working, and I think Helen's end is a little choppy. It's a little short-sighted. But, you know, we finally got it up. We've got it going. Helen is going to contribute to our Boob Tube, but unfortunately not as much as she normally would. She's going to smile and look pretty. Because
I've got a denim vest on today, which I'm very proud of. So
you look lovely, Helen. You look lovely.
I'll stay here in my denim vest and agree with you. That's what I'm doing.
Well, today we're going to start talking about how do you know if your baby is getting enough breast milk? This is definitely something I know myself as a breastfeeding mom, and I'm sure Helen has too, and I'm sure tons of moms out there have experienced this when you just have no idea. I mean, there's nothing to measure. There's no way of knowing that your baby's getting enough breast milk. It's just, you know, you think as a mom, a first-time mom, you think, oh my gosh, I guess I'm just supposed to figure this out. I'm just supposed to know. And it's not necessarily something that we are born with the knowledge to know that my baby's getting enough breast milk. Right, Helen?
Right. Exactly. And we know from talking to moms that there's a lot of, you know, kind of a lack of confidence in our body's ability to make enough milk. And that comes from a lot of different places. But if we can look at sort of these cardinal markers, which are, is my baby gaining weight? Are there dirty and wet diapers? Hey, if there's milk going in, there's going to be poop and pee coming out, and you can't argue with that evidence.
So true. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of these things. And what's going to happen is we probably, with the delay that Helen has, I guess it's a little bit better. So please let us know if we're really bad, and we'll try to, I don't know how we can fix it, but we'll try to work on it.
Right.
So yes, what goes in definitely comes out the other end. So the first thing I think moms should look for when they're wanting to know, is my baby getting enough breast milk, is how many pee-pee diapers am I getting? How many poo-poo diapers? I think there's like a common average number between 5 and 6 wet diapers, and 1 to 3 poo-poo diapers a day. But something I wanted to point out, and Helen, you can definitely chime in with this, is that when you first start breastfeeding, we talked about this in our first live BoobTube channel, that it takes a few days for your breast milk to come in. For the average mom, it was 2 to 3, but for some moms, it could be up to 5. So in that time frame, they're not going to have these 6 poo-poo or these 6 wet diapers. They're going to have a lot less than that because the milk really hasn't come in. It's just the colostrum.
Right. And I see some questions coming in, and I'd be happy to answer those about biting and weaning too, kind of as we get going in the broadcast. So thanks for the questions, and we'll be sure to address those.
Yes, definitely. So in the beginning, when the colostrum is just going on, there's only a couple diapers, right, Helen? It's like maybe 1 or 2 diapers that you're going to have. And I know we definitely shared that information before, that for some moms, depending on, did you have a C-section? Was there any problems with the delivery? That it could take more than those couple days for your breast milk to come in. So I don't want moms to focus on, it's got to be 6. It's got to be 6. So we throw out a number, and now we become, okay, there's my benchmark, 6.
Right.
I'm shooting for 6. And then we worry when it's not 6.
When it's 3 or it's 4. And really, you need to look at your baby. Some babies don't even poop every day. You get 0 poopy diapers. Some babies poop every 3 days. So there's a range of normal. If you're concerned, definitely talk to your doctor. However, the range of 5 to 6 to 7 poopy diapers, or you said 3 to 4 poopy diapers or something.
The poopy is like anywhere from 1 to 3. I think
1 to 3, I'm sorry.
It's actually, there's more poopy diapers in the beginning. Now, I know Helen is all about her props. She has these stickers. And in the beginning, I know when my first daughter, Ashlyn, started pooping, the first few days, it was, this black, I don't even know, sludge, meconium scariness that's coming out. And then eventually those poopy diapers transition into a yellow and then a green type of poopy diaper. So do you have something to show, Mom? We're gonna look at poop today.
Well, I'm going to put the poop in the comments, because as we were trying to troubleshoot with our technical difficulties, we didn't. But I will be happy to put a sheet in the comments. Just remember that the first stool that your baby has, the meconium, is the black, tarry stool, super sticky. And what that is the skin cells and amniotic fluid, everything that your baby's been taking in when he or she's been in your uterus and developing. So that kind of poop, it has a purpose to come out, the bile and everything. To John, what we want to do is get a lot of that colostrum, however much baby needs and however much you can make, and so it can kick in with that effect of making your baby poop. So it has kind of a laxative effect. So
right, the breast milk has a laxative effect to get that poop, that if you think about it, your baby's been, sitting in the uterus and hanging out for 9 months, and that poop's been kind of sitting there. So it's going to be the worst poop. So that's going to come out, and then once that kind of clears, you're going to start getting, more of the breast milk, which is the yellowish, the green, very soft, which is great, because babies are born with a very immature digestive tract, which is why breastfeeding is so great, because it's a lot lighter on the tummy and much easier to digest. But the biggest thing is that, definitely, now my worry is that moms, gaining weight. Really, the first 2 weeks that the baby is born, they actually lose weight, don't they?
They do, and they do that your baby may have been kind of fluid overloaded during a lot of IV fluids. Sometimes all those fluids can not just go in your body, but all body. So when your baby's weighed right after delivery, their birth weight can be a little bit over inflated where they really actually needed to be. And then it looks like they lose more weight. And then also, as your milk's coming in, they may not they just may be pooping out and peeing out, more than they're taking in.
Right.
And
so
that's
a good thing for moms to know, is that really in that first, several days, up to 5, your breast milk has not come in yet. The baby is born a little fluid heavy, so they're going to be losing a little bit of weight. They're still pooping and peeing a little bit, not much, but they're expected to lose a little bit of weight in the beginning. And I think that's something that new moms get very worried about and get very stressed about. And depending on their pediatrician, they can harp on that. One thing I noticed was that my daughter, when we went and got her weighed, my pediatrician was a breast-friendly pediatrician. And my daughter was very low on the curve. She had her own little growth curve. I have a little extra guest coming in behind me.
There's Wi-Fi on here.
I know. I got the Wi-Fi to work. Thank you. She's my little technical assistant. She was trying to help us. But, you know, the reality is that, so she had a very small little growth curve, but she had one. And when I asked my pediatrician, I said, wow, she's only in the 15th percentile. I mean, is something wrong? Am I doing something wrong? Do I not have enough breast milk? Is my breast milk not fat enough? What she said is that the chart that they have is based off of formula-fed babies. She didn't have, there's actually another chart out that is for breastfed babies. But the fact that she was knowledgeable in that, she wasn't obsessing that my child was supposedly underweight when really she was not. So that's something I want moms to know also.
And Christy, thanks for your comment about your baby losing 10 ounces, because that can be kind of a freak out moment for moms when they see the weight going down. We can really start to doubt our ability to make enough milk to nourish our baby when we see that instead of going up, the baby's weight's coming down.
Yes, and I think this is really important for moms to know that there are two charts. So, you know, you could be going to a pediatrician that is using a formula-fed chart, and we all know that those are going to be heavier babies. And that, you know, when you start comparing the two, it seems like your baby's underweight when really they are not. So again, it's going to be how many wet diapers are we doing? Are we doing, you know, more than 4 a day? Are we pooping? Because like we said right in the beginning, if something's going in, then stuff is coming out. If stuff is coming out relatively consistently, then we're getting what we need in instead of being obsessing. Other things to know for moms is that when you know, we're all about touching our breast on the boob tube. So we know that if our breasts, when they start to get full, we know the milk is come in. When our babies have breastfed, if they're getting enough milk, our breasts should start to feel a lot softer. We should be hearing our babies swallowing, not just the sucking, but actually seeing the jaw drop as they're swallowing the milk. You can even hear them doing that. And a lot of times your baby, after they were fussy when they started to breastfeed, they should not be as fussy when they're done breastfeeding. So that also lets you know that you're getting, hi honey, that you're getting enough breast milk. The one great thing about the boob tube is that we're all moms of little ones, and sometimes they like to show up and help us out a little bit.
Well, I like Desiree's question. Desiree is talking about, is her milk fatty enough? Your milk is fatty enough. There is a way to test the fat level and the calorie level, but it's really not necessary. If your baby, it looks like you were saying that she nurses on demand and she meets and exceeds milestones and has her 6 wet diapers a day. Desiree, it sounds like you're doing great. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing great. If your doctor's concerned about your baby having more fat, remember that the fat of your milk is higher up in the breast. So let your baby empty a breast before you put him or her onto the other breast. Your baby is able to not just get the kind of more watery milk in the beginning of the nursing session, but actually get the milk during that's higher up in the breast that's fattier. So if your doctor, great, I'm going to get more of that hind milk and leave my baby on the breast until that breast is empty. And that's a great strategy for getting more fat.
Yes, and adding something that we've talked about in both of our boob tube sessions was about the breast compression and really making sure that you're getting that milk, that fatty milk that's way up high, getting that down during the breastfeeding session, which is great.
That's right. Because only we know from breastfeeding session empties the breast about 60%. That means there's 40% of your breast milk is still left in the breast. And chances are, if it's up higher, it's your fattier milk. So use breast compression, but be sure your baby empties the breast before you night.
Yes, yes. So another thing, so we're talking about, you know, the emptying of the breast and the number of diapers, and that you have a slight curve, and not to worry about the beginning part of losing weight. In the beginning, that's expected. They start gaining weight after that. Things that kind of come into play, we talked a little bit about poop. I know we worry as moms about constipation. And we become poop obsessed. We're always looking at the diaper, and, you know, we're studying it, we're analyzing it. I kind of documented the poop. I don't know if anyone else did.
I was obsessed with my kids' poop. I was totally
Please share the documenting of the pooping, so I'm not the only crazy person in the world who documented poop. But you know, I did become a little obsessed with that. And as my baby got a little older, all of a sudden there was some days where we didn't poop, you know, for like after that first month. Sometimes the pooping became a little like erratic. We would go a couple days without pooping, and then we'd have a big poop. And one time we actually went 5 days, and I was very concerned. My baby was fine. She wasn't in any pain. She didn't have a hard belly, but you know, that's a number to me. That's 5 days that she hasn't pooped. So I called the doctor, and I was like, there's something wrong. And the doctor asked me a great question. As a medic, I should know this, but I didn't want to be a paramedic to my daughter. You wanted to be a regular person who doesn't know anything. Not know anything, but you know what I mean? It's not knowledgeable. It's terrible. I said that. Not knowledgeable in what's the right thing. And she said, how is your baby acting? Is your baby fussy? Is there a hard belly? Is your baby pulling their legs up to their stomach? Does she seem like she is having a problem, other than the fact that you feel like she hasn't pooped when she should have? And I'm like, no, the baby's fine, but she hasn't pooped when I think she should poop. And she goes, well, Mom, you know, it'll be fine. These are things to definitely call your doctor. These are things to look for. We just don't want you moms to focus. We want you to have the knowledge, but we don't want that knowledge to cripple you.
That's right. And just remember, you have really, really small tummies. And this is a visual that I do have for you here today. So
I love it when you've got visuals, Helen.
So day one, here you go. This is a little, like about the size of a cherry. Okay, so this is 7 milliliters, which is the size of a teaspoon.
Okay, so you're definitely cutting in and out. So we are looking at the size of their belly. Is that the size of their belly that you're holding in your hand?
A newborn belly, yes.
Wow, that is really small. So the little bit of colostrum that we're actually producing is way enough. Look how little that belly is.
Yes, so this is only how big your newborn stomach is, about the size of a teaspoon. So keep in mind, that doesn't mean your baby just it just means this is how much they can eat before they begin to feel full. Okay. So if you think about why your baby would eat a small amount and then maybe, you know, they're not hungry anymore, it's because their stomachs are so small. And then remember also, they're probably going to be hungry again in a short amount of time.
And this is why right in the beginning, it seems like every hour we're hungry and we're breastfeeding. It feels like we just got done kind of doing this, and we want to, take a nap for a second. And then all of a sudden there's that moving around, and then they're ready to eat again. That totally makes sense. That's a great visual, Helen. I love that visual aid.
Okay. Okay. So baby's stomach grows pretty quick, but this is about 2 ounces.
Now because we're breaking up again, what is the, we're looking at what age? What age is that? This is
1 week.
Wow, in 1 week they grow that much. Okay, wow, that's a lot. Okay.
This is 1 week. They're at a 2 ounce capacity for their stomach. It's about a ping pong ball. So if you think about how much breast milk you're making enough.
So yeah, so their bellies are holding about 2 ounces at a time. By a week is when maybe we're making in between the 1 to 2 ounces at a time. So that definitely correlates. That's really good. That's a great visual aid for moms. I think that's a good thing for moms to see.
Right. So a lot of moms that we talk to get really, they pump 2 ounces at a time. And what we always tell moms is, you know what? That's what your baby's eating right now. It's about time. So it's really great if you're making 2 ounces at a time and your baby's taking that in. Of course, we can't see, our breasts don't have any markers on them or anything that tells us how much our capacity actually is. We really have to keep in our baby for if they're satisfied or not.
I know. I wish our breasts were clear so that we could see. I don't know. That might be really kind of gross, but I think if we could have clear breasts, then we could see when there's stuff in there, and then we'll know when there's not anything in there. But unfortunately, we don't have the clear breast. So darn it.
But you know what's good about advocate getting to know feel like. Because yes, we can't see, we can't visualize because they're crying. Okay, that's full. And then after my baby, I'm gonna feel the difference, and I'm kind of going to get to know that.
Right.
What that feels like when it's full, partially empty, and then empty.
Right. And I bet you our husbands could totally tell us specifically what our breasts are doing. So we become more familiar with our breasts than our husbands do.
Hey-o.
Whoa. So another thing I wanted to talk about when it talks about dealing with, is my baby getting enough breast milk? And, we talked about the diapers and the poopies and the in and the out, and is my baby sated, and what is are my breasts, soft? But there's this little dragon that decides to rear their head about the 3-week mark. And that's cluster feeding. And that's something where we're just kind of starting to get a handle about breastfeeding. Maybe we're still kind of getting it down. Maybe we've finally gotten successful with it. And then all of a sudden we hit about 3 weeks, and now our baby doesn't seem satisfied when they get done breastfeeding, and they're right on us 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, doing it again and again. And I like to call that the cluster feeding dragon moment. And that can happen for about a week. And that can be very hard for moms at that 3-week part, because you think, oh my gosh, I'm not producing enough breast milk. I think that's the first thing that comes to moms' minds. I'm not producing enough breast milk. I was, and something happened, and now I'm not.
Right. And lack of confidence, but a lot of times here's where your kind of steps in and says, it seems like the baby's hungry, and can really kind of shoot down your confidence. So be prepared for these
things. Of the helpful friends and family, and formula comes into play, and they're trying to help. I understand they're trying to help, but actually that is defeating what mom is trying to do. So what we want moms to know is that this is actually normal. It's called growth. Very normal. It's called, I see, Roxana, you're right at that. Okay, you're right there right now. This is a normal thing. This is when your baby is transitioning into maybe sleeping a little bit longer at night, and there's a growth spurt getting ready to happen. and your baby is just getting your body to start producing more breast milk. And it takes several days, almost to about a week, for this to actually manifest. It happens around the 3-week mark, and it happens again at the 6-week mark. But we're a little bit more secure in ourselves at the 6-week mark. It's the 3-week mark that actually gets in the way. So Roxana, you're rocking. You're doing what you need to do. Hang in there, honey. You're gonna get through this moment. And that's the dragon cluster feeding time. That dragon.
If your breasts don't get hard, Roxana, okay, that just means your daughter is keeping up with your supply. So oftentimes happens where we expect a gush of milk, we expect to feel engorged, but if your baby's breastfeeding all the time, you may that engorged. So again, we maybe and see, do they have the output that we're looking for? Do they seem enough to eat?
Right.
The breast to get hard, for a sign that you're making enough milk, that may be misleading. That's because your baby's behavior can
that's very misleading, Helen, because when we talked about on our first boob tube, which we'd love for everyone watching today to go back and look at some of our other boob tube channels posts, is that we talk about receptors in the breast, and that an empty breast is a green light, and that means that you're going to produce more breast milk, and a full breast means red light, slow it down. So we really want more empty breasts than full breasts. But I'm right there with you, mamas. That cluster feeding, wow, it's a little bit of a pothole that becomes a sinkhole sometimes if you're not careful. So just hang in there, mamas. Just keep putting the baby to the breast, and all of a sudden, you'll get through that few days or week. And what'll be great is your baby starts to sleep a little longer. And, maybe you might get 3 hours or 5 hours at night. So that's the importance of the cluster feeding. So don't let that defeat you, moms, because that definitely comes up around the 3-week mark. Now, go ahead, Helen.
Belly of one more little visual here, and this is our 1 to 3 month old baby, and this is ounces. Okay,
how many ounces?
This is my
how many ounces?
This is about 5 ounces. 5 ounces.
And where are we at the 5 ounces? You're breaking up. Where are we at the 5 ounce mark, Helen? What age are we?
3 months.
At the 3 month mark, okay.
It's going to be about from 5 to 7 ounces, right around there. Eating about that much, you're doing great.
Yeah, Helen's connection is I don't know what's going on in her neck of the woods, but Helen's connection is definitely having a little hard time. But that 5 ounces, is that between the 3 and 5 months? That's about the time frame that our baby is at about 5 ounces?
Right. 5 ounces right around the 1 to 3 months, and then the 6, 7, 8 ounce capacity. So again, try not to get too caught up and really look at your baby and see if they're satisfied. There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way to, not every baby's going to be the same. And we don't want moms to focus on numbers. I think that's where we actually set ourselves up to fail, is by, I must meet this number. There's this number here. The number's here for a reason. And I guess that's where I need to be. We don't want you to do that. We want you to look at how your baby's doing, how your baby's responding, be aware of some of these little pitfalls that kind of get in the way at the 3 and the 6 week mark, but to know that you're actually doing good, and by assessing, just looking at your baby and how they're doing. And that's going to be, how you know that you're doing good with breastfeeding. We don't want you to obsess on numbers, moms, because that's really going to be something that could be hard for you guys.
Right.
Now, when it comes to cluster feeding, something a little bit heartfelt that I wanna share. Helen and I have known each other a long time, and this is something that I experienced with one of my children, but she did not, with her 3, which I would never wish this on any mama, but colic. Colic tends to not manifest until about the 6 to 8 week mark. And my oldest, Ashlyn, she, so I got to the point when colic started, I was very confident. By that point, I had been breastfeeding successfully for about 2 months. And then all of a sudden, colic showed up. And I didn't know what it was. All I knew was around 9 o'clock at night, screaming, ear-piercing screaming started. And it would go on. It seemed like forever, but it would only be probably, if I would be honest with myself and not maybe over-exaggerate, it probably went from 9 to 11 at night. And there was nothing I could do to console her. You know, I would try to feed her. She wouldn't feed. She'd pull off she would eat for a second and she'd pull off from the breast. Her belly was very hard. Her legs would pull up and she would just scream and cry and scream and cry. And I was very tired. I don't mean to, I'm going to get a little upset. You know, she was crying all the time. And I got so upset one night that, I put her in her bedroom and she had a clean diaper and she was fed as far as I could tell. And she was crying and crying and crying. And I just wanted her to stop. And I shut the door and I went outside and I called my mom. And I felt so awful. I felt like, oh my gosh. I felt like I was failing as a mom. Please, mamas, if you've had the colic experience, I'd love for you to share it on here so that mamas know they're not alone in this. You know, I felt like I was failing as a mom. I was out there, I'm leaving my baby in her room crying, and I didn't know what to do. I felt so alone. And it's okay, moms. It's okay to put the baby down and go outside for a minute and take a few minutes to breathe, to relax, to just reboot and to call someone. Gosh, please call someone and just get them to talk to you about anything other than what's going on. But I think as moms, we feel we hold ourselves on this pedestal, and I think we can totally achieve that pedestal. Please, mamas, share your stories about colic, because I want moms that are experiencing this right now to know that they're not alone, that we all have been there, we all have done that, and it's okay. It's okay, because that's what we're all about here on the Boob Tube, is sharing knowledge and sharing experiences and knowing that we're all together. But I think we put ourselves way up here on this pedestal, and I think we can achieve that, but I think we're our biggest critics. We're our hardest critics. We're superhuman. We're superwomen. We're superwoman, right? And I think we obviously can do that, but I think at the same time, we're the first person when we don't achieve excellence that we think, that there's something wrong with us, how can we do this? So I want to talk a little bit about colic. I'm sorry I share got so cry, but you know, it's definitely any mom who has experienced this. It goes on for days, for hours, and it goes on sometimes for months. My daughter did it from the age of 2 months to about 4.5 months. And there's really not a diagnostic tool. There's not a test that tells you that it does that. There basically is the rule of threes. Is it going on for 3 hours? Is it going on for 3 days? And I think there was one other 3. What was the other 3, Helen?
For more than three weeks. And it's more than 3 days per week. So it may not be every day, but if it's 3 days or more per week, and then it goes on for 3 longer, then that's a tentative colic diagnosis.
Yes, and that's really the only way they diagnose it. But it's definitely something where you don't know what's going on. You don't know, there's gripe water, there's little tummies, there's doing the get their legs going back and forth and doing the bicycle. There's putting them in some kind of bouncy seat and bouncing them. There's putting them in the car and driving. There's and I'm saying all these because I tried all these and none of them worked. There's putting them in that bouncy seat on the wash machine and turning the wash machine on. You know, I mean, if anything works for you moms, please share that. None of that worked for me. Eventually I just learned to get through it. There was a lot of times I just had to set her down and walk outside for a minute. Definitely sharing the load with somebody is, I think, key to getting through colic, to getting through that 3 hours. For me, it felt like it was every day. I'm sure it wasn't, but I know when it's 3 or 4 days a week, week after week, it feels like it's forever. But it will pass, moms. It will pass. There's some foods that they say you're eating that can cause colic. In the end, when you look it up, it's almost every food that you can eat can cause colic. Just know that your baby, all babies are born with an immature digestive tract, and some maybe more than others because, you know, we're all unique little humans and we all have unique moments. But in the millions and millions of us out there, there's a bunch of us that actually experience the same thing. And you know, it's something that your baby just transitions through, but it will end. It does have an expiration point. So just know that, moms, and just know that you're not alone with that. I think in the end for me, little tummies did start to work, but that was near the end. And I think she was already growing out of it. So did the little tummies work? I think, but she was also closer to the 4.5 months, and they usually grow out of it around that time. So, you know, that's another little sinkhole that can become a big in your breastfeeding journey. That can become, you know, a pothole that becomes a sinkhole, and you just have to be aware of it and know you're not alone, and hang in there, moms, and you'll be able to work through that. You'll be able to work through that.
You shared that. I think it's so important to open about not only the things we're really proud of, things that we feel like, you know, maybe we feel like maybe I wish I would have handled that. I wish that, you know, my situation could have gone differently. And I think it's important that we, because you're definitely, and your story helps other people feel better about however they care for themselves as they're also trying to care for this little baby.
Yes.
But
yes,
as we're getting kind of closer to time and answer some of our comments.
Yes, most definitely. I know there's been a lot of comments, and we always go back on and answer. I apologize that we've had some technical difficulties and we're not, you know, as definitely going through being able to be as cohesive as we normally are. But I'm so glad that everybody has hung in there with us through this. We always get better because we go through a struggle, and today was our struggle. But as moms, we know that we can overcome everything and anything that is put in our path. So, we know our next time will be a much better boob tube. But I'm so glad. I hope we've helped some moms today. And remember that we are the Milky's moms with Fairhaven Health. So that also means that we're part of the Milky's line of products. Helen and I are both inventors of products for breastfeeding moms. And you can go to our website, mymilkies.com. And when you're watching this live, there's actually a coupon code that we're going to share that you guys can go on and definitely look at our products, read about our stories, watch more of our videos that are out there, and definitely keep asking us questions. Okay, so I think that's the coupon code right there, FB Live, and we are going to go on and answer all the questions after the boob tube, but we're going to say goodbye, and I hope that we have connected and we've helped and we've encouraged, because that's what the boob tube is all about, and that's what Helen and I are all about as well.
That's right. If you have any questions, I would love to comments. I did see a couple of questions that I just want to address really quick before we go, and that's about pumping volume and milk supply. Be sure that you get comfortable touching your breasts. Do breast compression, right?
We're touching the breast.
Hands-on pumping. So these are all things that can not only, I saw we have some nurses here that work on busy floors. I get that you don't have a lot of time to pump. Hands-on pumping helps you pump faster and more milk and increases your supply. So Google hands-on pumping. I'll also put a link in the comments so that you'll be able to get right in and check that video out. Okay? So thank you so much. Sorry about my weird delay.
But you look lovely, Helen, so that's the most important thing.
So do you, darling. So do you.
All right. We love you guys, and we'll see you next month on YouTube, okay? Bye.
Okay, I'm ending up. Everything's slow. Even the end is slow.
No, we're still live, right?
Yeah.
Yay!
There we go.